Hello everyone, Blue again. Today we're going to be once again discussing card games, and if you're curious about how my Kokuenden did at the locals, it actually did pretty well. Overall, I actually won more duels than I've lost in this deck. I actually went 6-0 against in the tournament once, and then I went 5-6 as well. I could have gone 7-4 or 7-2. All I know is I could have actually finished instead of fifth. I could have finished maybe third had I not made some bad misplays or not been the victim of some bad luck, like a top deck Book of Moon and then an Infinity player proceeding to one-turn kill on their second turn. That being said, today's deck is a bit different from Kokuenden. Today's deck is, as you can see here, it's a ritual deck. And this deck's focus instead of is nowhere near as aggro. It's more control oriented, and it's also more lockdown oriented. And we'll go over things. So the deck consists of 3 Divine Grace Northwemko, 3 Manager to 10,000 hands, 2 Din Cross-Indicators of Rituals, 2 Din Disier of Rituals, 2 Din Abuser of Rituals, Dark Resonator, Sangan, 2 Armageddon Knights, Morphing Jar, Chaos Sorcerer, Endymion Master Magician, Earthbound Immortal, Chachu Chalua, that includes monsters, Ritual of Grace, Declaration of Rights, Book of Moon, Brain Control, MST, Heavy Storm, Terraforming, Magical Citadel of Endymion, Soul Exchange. What we got? 2 Bottomless Trap Hole, Torrential Tribute, and Royal Decree. Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Dragon Network. Today's video is going to be on a deck that I go way back with. This is one of my oldest decks, if not the oldest deck that I've had for, ever since I decided to get back in the game. No, even before I decided to get back into the game. One of the very first videos I've ever done for Yu-Gi-Oh!, if not the first video I ever did, was regarding this deck, and in particular this card, and that would be Divine Grace Northwemko. If anyone's been all my long-time subscribers will know the story, but this card and I have quite the history, as when I decided to get back into the game, which was during the end of September 2009 and at the beginning of March 2010, I decided what better way than by being an idiot and buying some packs, and the packs I bought were Stardust Overdrive. I know, not really the best investment, but from my 5 packs of Stardust Overdrive, I pulled 2 copies of Divine Grace Northwemko. One was an Ulti, one was an Ultra. In fact, I still have that Ultra in here. Let me just move the camera a bit. I actually got them in my collection binder. I'm starting to work on a Northwemko page. Also, hey, look at that. Here's my ritual page. I've got actual theme pages. This is supposed to be chaos, but all those cards are stuff. Let's see. Dark Synchros. I should probably just move the binder over here, like this. Signature cards plus Synchrons, more Signature cards, sorry for shaking the camera, more Signature cards, original stuff, Red Eyes page, first edition structure deck, Red Eyes Darkness Dragon, Ultra Red Med, Dark Counterparts, and what I'm really working on, my Numbers collection. Yes, Numbers Hunters is going to be very interesting. But yeah, if you've ever wondered what my collection binder looks like, this will be it. Also, I've been trying to pick up cover cards in as many rarities as I can, and I've got Galaxy Eyes in Secret, Ultra Ulti Ghost, Neo Galaxy in Ultra Ulti Ghost. I need to get Tachyon Dragon in said rarities, but that will all be down the road. But needless to say, though, Yeah, I've been collecting Northwemkos and Spellbook of Lives because it's got Northwemko in the artwork. I don't know what relation she has to the prophecy cards, but I figure the artwork looks really nice. Like, yeah, look at that. That's good stuff. But yeah, we'll close this up and we'll actually get to the deck itself. I'm sorry for like the stalling, but people love this kind of stuff. I mean, Mega Monkey's Xyz collection videos are very popular. I'm working on a synchro collection, or at least I'm going to try to. And as far as the Xyz collection videos go, there will be one more at some point because Numbers Hunters are coming up and we're both going to be busy trying to work on our collections. But let's get back to the actual thing itself, and that would be this deck, which has been around with that I've had since 2010. It's not as good in the formats as it used to be, as well the game has just gotten too fast and this deck can't really keep up, so it's been relegated to casual fun. Definitely not competitive by any means, although you can steal wins against known decks because they just don't know how your shit works. Like, to this day, people still don't read these cards on Dueling Network and even on DevPro. When I do my ritual plays and I end up having a Northwemko with a releaser in play, they'll be like, why can't I special summon BLS? Why can't I do this? And then I tell them, and like, oh, I lose then. So, yeah, long story short, cards from way back when, people still don't know, especially if they've been used in the past. The Dijin releaser, it's been used in Herald deck before, but yeah, people just don't read cards. They're too fucking lazy. And that being said, though, I have tried to update this as best as I can. The reason why I even got around to playing this again was because Lava Vault Chain is a thing and it allows me to do plays that I've been really wanting to do for a long time. And I know there's going to be consistency issues. It's an old style ritual deck. It's not as efficient as the Gishkis are. But yeah, I'm just doing what I can. So let's get this on with, shall we? First up, 3 copies of Northwemko. I'm going to go over all the details of this deck again because I can just, you know what, fuck it, I can do that. It's my channel, and the last Northwemko deck I profiled on here has been almost 2 years ago, so yeah. For the people who haven't seen it before, this is what this deck does, is it summons this thing. It's a level 7, 2700 spellcaster ritual monster. When it's ritual summoned, you can target cards on the field, face-up cards, mind you, other than herself, up to the number of tributes. Most of the time it's going to be 1 or 2, so while those cards you target remain on the field, she can't be destroyed by effects. Which means Mirror Force, Dark Hole, Marksman, Infantry, Black Rose Dragon. As long as those targeted cards are on the field, she doesn't die. And originally, I would just have her target things like Magical Citadel of Endymion, which could not be destroyed while I had spell counters on it. And if I had a spell counter, at least one of them, which I usually did because I played the ritual spell, and they tried to MST it, it'd be like, okay, remove a counter, then get a counter back on, and then on my turn I play Paw Duality, get another counter. Like, this thing worked really well with Magical Citadel of Endymion, and that was my very first build. I'll link to some of my earlier versions of this. They've actually got some decent views, surprisingly, and some of the videos of it in action, but there's also cards like the Seal of Orichalcos, although since this deck exceeds summons, I'm not running it. There's also like other cards that are very difficult to kill. If you can target something that is almost impossible to kill, like Zenmaines, then it becomes increasingly difficult to get her off the field, especially when you combine it with the cards that are used to set up a lock. Because that's basically what this deck does, is you try to lock the game down with Northwemko. And it's not through Northwemko herself, but the support for her. But yeah, there's your boss monster. And to help get to it, you got your 3 copies of Manju, the 10,000 Hands. Why has this not been foiled up? This thing has been like common or rare at most. Like, come on, I want my super rare Manju already. Come on, you know you'd love that. Then you get to the Dins. The Dins of rituals are very interesting in that when they're in the graveyard, you can banish them to count as tributes for a ritual summon, which makes them really great with cards like Foolish Burial, Dark Grepher, Armageddon Knight, and now Lava Vault Chain. And while the monster they are used to ritual summon remains on the field, that monster gets additional effects. Presider lets you draw a card every time you kill something. It doesn't have to hit the graveyard, you just have to destroy it by battle. So this included things like plant tokens, which made this really good against decks. So like, yeah, this had a fairly good plant matchup back in the day. So yeah, you would just run over stuff and draw cards. It helped you make up for the hand losses that were done for ritual summoning. But this was what made, and what still makes the deck actually somewhat good, is Releaser of Rituals. Aside from having a 2000 defense ass and being a tour guide target, if you use this thing as ritual material, while that ritual is on the field, your opponent can't special summon. It's a completely one-sided Vanity's Fiend, and that just flat out kills decks. Like, even now, if you get this off against certain decks, you will just flat out win, because they cannot do anything without special summoning, they can't Dark Hole you, they can't Mirror Force you. Their only outs on Northwemko are trap cards that do not destroy, and I'm running protection for that. So there's your win condition and how you go about it. Setting up the condition is going to take some work. You've got Manju, and you've also got some other stuff. First up, Breaker the Magical Warrior. He's a spellcaster, which is very important for one of the cards in the deck. 1900 beater, and he baits out back row because Northwemko does not. What happens is, if your opponent torrential tributes or bottomlesses this upon its summon, Bottomless will resolve first, killing it, and then you would target your card. So you want to get Bottomless and TT out of the way, and Breaker does that. Not to mention, yeah, he's a spellcaster, so he works with certain support. Speaking of spellcasters, 2 copies of Monk. Now that good rank 4s are a thing, I feel that definitely running Monk is justifiable. You can pitch a spell to get out of a Djinn and go into a rank 4 like a Lava Ball Chain, detach Djinn, put another Djinn in the graveyard, and then you're set up. Or you can just stack a Manjo on top of your deck, whatever have you. But yeah, just Monk into Djinn into rank 4 to answer certain problems is really, really nice. Okay. Speaking of engines, Tour Guide, because, hello, you can search this out. So you actually have, you can actually go Tour Guide, get a monster, and Tour Guide, get another monster, which is something that not very many decks have. Rank 3s are very good. You've got Zenbanes and Giga Brilliant especially. Those can help set up your win condition, or just make it all that more difficult for the opponent to win. And then rounding things out are hand traps, 2 Maxi and 2 Veiler. Then for the spells, 3 copies of Spellbook of Wisdom. Northwemko works with this thing, and as you all know, a Theme Forbidden Lance for any deck is very nice. Just being able to get you around things like Impulse, Bottomless, Torrential, what have you. Wisdom will do that. And it's also a spell, so you can pitch it for Monk. Speaking of spells, Upstart, just get to your shit faster. Terraforming, get to your field spells. And in particular, I'm running 3 copies of Secret Village of the Spellcaster, which is something that people even now do not know what it does. While you have a spellcaster and your opponent does not, they cannot play spell cards at all. And against decks other than Prophecy, this is pretty much a game ender, as you've got a 2700 beater that can't be destroyed by effects, and your opponent cannot special summon while it's on the board, and they can't play spells. It really limits their options in what they can do to get around this, and while they're trying to do that, you're just going to keep swinging and swinging and swinging, and maybe even drawing cards or exceeding. Then for the Ritual Engine, 3 Preparation of Rites to search out Northwemko. She is a level 7 Ritual monster, and you can also get back Ritual of Grace. Fun play that I discovered while mucking around with this deck was, if you open with Preparation of Rites and a Ritual of Grace, you can go Monk, pitch Rites to get a rank 4, level 4, like, yeah, the Djinn Presider of Rituals. So we'll get him. Then you go into the Lava Ball Chain, detach Chain, to put a Djinn into the graveyard. Then you play Preparation of Rites to get Northwemko to your hand, this back to your hand. Then you play Ritual of Grace, you remove these 2 from the game, you summon Northwemko, you target Lava Ball Chain, and now you've got your lock. They have to kill Lava Ball Chain in order to get around that, and 1800 attack is starting to become difficult to get over unless your opponent is being that guy who runs Thunder King. This deck hates Thunder King. But yeah, also you can remove this from the graveyard to target a ritual monster you control. It cannot be, it's unaffected by all other effects until end of turn. This is nice. Then rounding out the spells, 2 Pot, Storm, and Monster Reborn. And that's it for the main deck. On to the extra. I'm running a couple synchros for those rare times where I have Veiler and a Reborn or something like that. Veiler plus the Djinn Releaser Rituals lets you go into Army Arm, which I can equip to Northwemko or an already on-field Lava Ball Chain, what have you, and just make it a bigger monster. And then Scrap Dragon, well, frankly, level 7s are everywhere, so it's not completely impossible for the opponent to have a Dragon Ruler in the graveyard that I can just Reborn, and then I can tune it with Veiler to go into a Scrap Dragon, and then I can have Scrap Dragon attempt to destroy Northwemko, because Northwemko is protected by a card, I can just not have her die, but I can pop their monster. So that's a thing. It's either that or I could also cut the armor arm for a Crimson Blader, but the way I see it is this deck wins through locking out special summons entirely, so I felt Crimson Blader was a little redundant. After that though, it's pretty much Xyz. First up is Zenmaines, Tempo, and a Giga Brilliant. These are my rank 3s for when I go into tour guide and stuff. Zenmaines is my go-to guy if I want to set up a Northwemko. If I already have one on the board though, I will go into a Giga Brilliant so that I can just pump it up. Brilliant plus Northwemko will put this at 3,000, this at 21, and if it stays around then I can make this 33, and if this just gets bigger. Northwemko being even bigger is really nice because that 2700 attack can be a little troublesome. You can't quite get over Scrap Dragon. In fact, if my opponent already has a Scrap Dragon on the board, I'm kind of at a loss as to what to do. And then Tempo is to knock off materials from things like Ophion, because this deck kind of dies to Ophion, and so monsters like them. Then for the rank 4s, Pop Operative, Spear Reaper is kind of a problem for this deck, so this gets around it. Lava Ball Chain, main reason why I'm even running this deck again, or just deciding to rebuild it, because you can set up shit. Being able to put the Din that you don't have to summon Northwemko is very nice. Stacking a Manju on top of your deck, searching on Northwemko if you've already got your handful of Manjus, just things like that. Lava Ball Chain is good. Diamond Direwolf, same reasons as Scrap Dragon, just instant spot removal. Utopia, having this kind of setup is pretty nice too, as even if they do find some way to beat you over, you can just protect Northwemko. It's also Maestroke. It's a card that's hard to kill, so you can target it with Northwemko, and now they have to kill Maestroke before they can pop Northwemko. And then you got your utility guys, Flagship, Dweller, and Cowboy. They're all very good. And one Gemini Pearl is a 2600 beater. That's it for the deck itself. As I mentioned before, this is just a casual fun deck, but fuck it. It is one of my longest running decks, and it's a personal favorite of mine. I've always enjoyed ritual decks as a whole. I've always just found the concept to be really neat and horribly undersupported. And I've always wondered if they actually pushed rituals as hard as they did with fusions and synchros during the GX and 5Ds eras, maybe the deck could have been better. Gishkis are a fine attempt, but for older style stuff like this, there's really only so much that we as the players can do until before Konami decides to actually give this stuff more support. What would I really like to see? Generic versions of Gishki Shadow and Gishki Vision, just being able to pitch a card to search out ritual spells and ritual monsters without having to use the normal summon and therefore be weak to Veiler, because Veiler hurts a lot. If they Veiler your Manju or your Monk, you're really slowed down. Like, you really need those effects to go through. With that being said though, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and until the next time, this is Albus TGS, jacking out.